Hey guys, this is Jay Cruz from Team Shockwave. I'm here to talk about our first video for tips and rules. Pretty much for you guys going down to YCS Philly, I want to give you guys a couple hints about a few decks and also how to get around some of them. But these are just my opinions, so let's just get started. My head there. So these are some cards that I took out, especially with priority gone. Some of this is general, staples like Chain of Disappearance, Bottomless, for the simple fact that, because priority is gone, it makes it a little bit more, you're definitely going to be seeing this more in play, especially against like Chaos Dragon builds or other builds out there. Save Zone, always a good card. Electrical Viruses, Diddy Crow. One of the things I want to talk about is something that I find very useful that Konami put up on the website about priority and all the other things, and that was pretty much about Goals in Match and Rivalry of Warlords. Main thing I liked about it was the simple fact that pretty much these do work similar. They work the same, ones with attribute and the other ones with type. One of the biggest problems that people had while talking about the rulings about these two was when somebody will activate mind control, and let's say for example this was the field. Your opponent will have against, I don't know, actually it doesn't really matter. If your opponent had one of these two on the field, your opponent will activate mind control to take control of this. Many players, especially at my locals, had an argument, and even though I checked the rulings, many judges had a problem until Konami fixed it, was that mind control couldn't be activated. I heard from a few people, but if you guys look on the Konami website, and also we'll have the link on the bottom of the video if you guys want to check it out, there is nothing stopping mind control from being activated. Pretty much what will happen is the monster will be, mind control was resolved, the monster will come to your side of the field, and because of game mechanics it will go straight to the graveyard. And depending on, which of these two you will be playing. But pretty much that's how it will work. You'll read more about it if you go down to the Konami website. Another thing I do want to talk about was something I found very interesting that I already knew about it, but I doubt a lot of people did, was pretty much Dragonfly and Gigamantis. And pretty much it had to do with enemy controller, Chain of Disappearance, and a Book of Moon that I really can't find right now. So pretty much
Book of Moon.
Pretty much what I saw somebody do in a tournament that was really smart was they'll summon something like their Hornet or Dragonfly to the field and activate Chain of Disappearance to the summon. And if you read carefully, Chain of Disappearance will most likely put it right there on the, well, we'll put it up for you guys to be able to read it more. Chain of Disappearance says, you can only activate this card when a monster with an attack of 1000 or less is summoned in any condition, summoned in any way. Remove the monster from play, and your opponent removes all monsters with the same name from his or her deck from play, and then shuffles. So pretty much you'll summon this this will be your normal summon. You'll activate Chain of Disappearance to your summon. Your Dragonfly will get removed, and then your opponent will have to remove any other Dragonflies that they have either in their hand or deck. So especially against mirror matches, this will be a great combo, especially to get rid of your opponent's power source like Hornet or Dragonfly. So this is a great combo, especially if you're playing against someone like that in a mirror match. Another thing too, if you're playing against your opponent, for example, they have it's pretty much mirror matches. Let's say your opponent has, let's say this is a Hornet for now because I really can't find mines, but your opponent will activate Hornet's effect to destroy, let's say, a back row or something else, or your monster. You can activate enemy controller in response, tribute your monster, take control of their Dragonfly. Hornet's effect will activate, it will miss its target, but it will destroy. Then Dragonfly's effect will activate, And pretty much what will happen is you'll get the effect of Dragonfly to summon Insector from your deck, or what was it, deck, hand, or grave? Something like that. From the deck and summon it to the field. So in other words, you'll pretty much get a plus off just the enemy control of you taking control of your opponent's monster. Another thing that I found really interesting that some people are unaware of is when you have Gigamantis chained to a monster, to one of the Insectors. For example, I've seen this happen to someone and they didn't realize the ruling on it was that if you Book of Moon the monster that was equipped to Gigamantis, Gigamantis will automatically go to graveyard and its effect will activate. And many players don't realize that Gigamantis effect says when this card is sent from the field to the grave, not when it's destroyed by a card effect like most of the Insectors in the deck work. So pretty much remember this: Book of Moon, Gigamantis, you get effect. Another thing I did want to talk about was Electrical Virus, Victoria, Diddy Crow, and Grandma. Pretty much, I find these good side deck cards. Diddy Crow is irrelevant, especially when you're facing against Insectors, Chaos Dragons that's being played a lot right now in the build. Especially when they're trying to, you know, build up their graveyard. Because with the one thing I do realize about the Chaos builds for Chaos Dragons, they rely a lot on the setup of the graveyard. Honest truth, I was very happy to see that Gravekeeper's topped at Chicago. My bad, I'm very tired right now. So the main reason they were, one of the main reasons was because they were able, not just because priority was gone, but the main fact that Gravekeepers keep a good control over the field. I've seen people also play Grandma in Gravekeeper just to get rid of big beaters, just in case their Gravekeepers can't do anything. One of the best things about the Gravekeeper versus Chaos Dragons is Necro Valley, because Necro Valley pretty much stops your opponent from removing any monsters from the graveyard to summon either Light Pulse Dragon, Dark Flare Dragon, pretty much anything. To be fair, if you hit the deck with a Deck Devastation Virus, you pretty much kill it, because the only monsters they really summon that will not be affected by Deck Devi is Eclipse Wyvern and I believe what's the name of the girl? Oh,
Dragoon?
No, the
Queen Dragoon?
No, the girl from from Lightsworns. Lila. I forgot. But yeah, Lila and Eclipse Wyvern is the only two monsters in the deck that won't be unaffected by Deck Devi or Red Eyes Wyvern if you're playing that type of build. Another good card against just not Chaos Dragons but also Dino Rabbit will be Electrical Virus. Simple fact, it's you can control any machine, so it gets over wind up Zaymane or Zaymighty if you're playing against a random wind up deck. It also controls any type of dragon, so you can control your opponent's Lagias or Dokas, and pretty much either use their effects, or if you have if somehow you could tribute, you know, tribute the monster. I don't know, have a random Gorge, tribute the monsters, swing. It's always a fun. Another card too that a lot of people don't really realize is Victoria. Pretty much Victoria's effect is once per turn special summon a dragon from your opponent's graveyard. This secret. Honest truth, this is one of the I have one of these copies just from the simple fact that I really liked how the artwork looks. I think it was done amazingly. Plus that it's an 18 beater, so it's really good for this format, especially how most people are relying so tremendously on exceeding, and most of their monsters are little. That's why I also find Skill Drain to be a really good card right now, especially with priority gone and people being able, you know, relying so much on effects this format. So stuff like Bottomless is great right now. Compulsory has always been great. One of the best things I think that's do in the game right now, especially if someone's playing a tour guide, is let them play tour guide's effect. if you don't have an effect veiler or whatnot, and let them exceed, and then just compose. You already got rid of 2 of their monsters, and you got rid of one of their monsters from their extra deck, bounced it right back in there, and say you just went minus. And it doesn't cost you anything, so that's one of the best things. So you don't really minus anything off that. Besides that, I also recommend Safe Zone, for the simple fact that with Heavy Storm and MST so greatly played right now, I think this is just a great card, especially if they activate MST or Heavy Storm and they have something on the field that you can't get over with and just want to get rid of it. You could play Safe Zone to it, attach it, and then just kill it. So I find it a great tech card, and I actually recommend people to actually play it. And it also helps your monsters out too, in case you're just trying to protect your monster from any type of effects, or just your opponent trying to, you know, screw you over. Another thing I do want to talk about though, this pretty much be the last thing I talk about, is Light Pulse. A lot of people don't realize this, but Light Pulse, a lot of people already know that Light Pulse's effect, it misses timing because they reworded it when they translated it. But for example, let's say I tribute Light Pulse to summon, I don't know, Elemental Hero Niels. Don't mind the levels, it's just an example. And people will think Light Pulse's effect will activate, and it will actually miss timing for the simple fact that the last thing that happened was Light Pulse hitting the field. Besides that, there is also another card right now, pretty much is Dark Flare Dragon. I don't have it right now, but it's somewhere in my room. But Dark Flare Dragon's effect to discard a card from your hand and deck is a cost. So after you pay, even if your opponent affects veilers, you still pay the cost to ditch a material card from your hand and deck. So it's always a good, I think it's a plus, especially like you're getting rid of a card from your deck. I do want to say that if you do play the cost for Dark Flare Dragon's effect, and the card you decide to mill from your deck to the graveyard is Eclipse Wyvern. Eclipse Wyvern's effect will activate to remove a monster from play, a level 7 or higher light or dark dragon. But the effect that Eclipse Wyvern has, that Dark Flare Dragon has, to remove a monster from either player's graveyard, if you choose to target Eclipse Wyvern, well, pretty much what will happen is Eclipse Wyvern's effect will activate. You remove the monster for its effect, but even though you might have targeted Eclipse Wyvern with Dark Flare Dragon's effect, Eclipse Wyvern will miss timing on that, so you will not get the monster added to your hand, but the monster will still be removed. That's the best I can give you right now for my tips and rulings. I hope it helps out, and subscribe and tell me what you